Football, or association football, is a sport with a long and varied history. The modern version of the game was developed in England during the 19th century and is widely considered the world's most popular sport. In 1863, the Football Association was established in England, becoming the sport's first governing body. This led to the formation of the first official club, Sheffield FC, in 1857. By the 1870s, the game had spread to Europe, and by 1872, the first international match was played between England and Scotland. FIFA, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, was founded in Paris in 1904. It was created to bring together different football associations from around the world and to ensure that the game was played according to a set of rules. In 1930, the federation organized the first World Cup. This tournament was held in Uruguay, and it was a huge success. Since then, the World Cup has been held every 4 years, and it has become one of the most popular sporting events in the world. Today, FIFA is the governing body of football and has more than 200 member associations. It is one of the most powerful organizations in the world and is responsible for the development and growth of the game. Yet this was all nearly lost when a major scandal hit.
2018 FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, will be organized in Russia. To organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
Heads of FIFA and UEFA, the game's global and European governing bodies, face trial today over suspected fraudulent payments.
Lack of basic accountability and transparency. And this helps to understand how these corruption scandals and allegations could happen. If there's this basic amount of lack of transparency and large amounts of money, it's a very risky combination for corruption.
It was a catastrophe for FIFA. They've had their whole legacies called into question.
Last year, we examined what an appalling organisation FIFA is, treating countries that host the World Cup like cash machines, practically imposing their own rule of law, generating billions of dollars, and yet somehow remaining a non-profit. Now, despite being almost the dictionary definition of corruption, they've escaped any significant prosecution for decades. But that all ended on Wednesday.
High-ranking officials from FIFA, the sport's governing body, arrested in an overnight raid in Switzerland.
The FIFA corruption case is one of the largest and most significant scandals in the history of sports. The scandal involved allegations of bribery, fraud, and money laundering. It all started in 2011 when the US Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, received a tip-off about corrupt practices within the organization. The investigation soon revealed a web of corruption that involved officials from around the world. The investigation focused on allegations that officials had solicited bribes and kickbacks in exchange for awarding lucrative contracts and broadcast rights for major football tournaments, including the World Cup. The FIFA corruption case had far-reaching consequences for the organization and the sport of football. The case led to the resignation of Sepp Blatter, who had been FIFA's president since 1998. Blatter had long been seen as a controversial figure, and his resignation was seen by many as a sign that FIFA was finally taking steps to clean up its act. The FIFA corruption case also led to the banning of several high-ranking officials from football activities. In addition to Blatter, Michael Platini, the former president of UEFA, was also banned from football. Related activities, the bans were imposed by FIFA's Ethics Committee, which had been established to investigate allegations of corruption within the organization. The charges against the FIFA officials included allegations that they had accepted bribes in connection with the awarding of broadcasting and marketing rights for the World Cup and other FIFA events. The FIFA corruption case highlighted the need for significant reforms in the governance and management of the organization. In response to the scandal, a series of reforms were introduced to improve transparency, accountability, and ethics within the organization. The reforms included the establishment of an independent ethics committee, the adoption of new rules on the disclosure of financial information, and the introduction of term limits for the officials. One of the most significant examples of corruption within FIFA was the case involving the 2010 World Cup held in South Africa. the US Department of Justice alleged that FIFA officials had solicited and received bribes in exchange for voting for South Africa to host the tournament. The bribes were allegedly paid by a South African bid committee to FIFA officials, including former FIFA Executive Committee member Jack Warner. Another example of corruption within FIFA was the case involving the awarding of broadcasting rights for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups. The bribes were allegedly paid by the companies to FIFA officials, including former FIFA Vice President Jeffrey Webb. The DOJ also alleged that the bribes were disguised as payments for marketing and consulting services. The FIFA corruption case had a significant impact on the sport of soccer and on the public perception of FIFA. The case also highlighted the need for sports organizations to take a more proactive approach to preventing corruption and maintaining high ethical standards. The scandal also led to some sponsors and partners of FIFA, such as Visa and Coca-Cola, expressing concern about the allegations of corruption and considering whether to continue their relationship with the organization. Alongside corruption within the officials, FIFA has had multiple games in which the referee made questionable decisions. One of the most famous and well-known instances was the Hand of God goal. In the 1986 World Cup quarter final between Argentina and England, Argentina's Diego Maradona scored a controversial goal by using his hand to punch the ball into the net. The goal was allowed to stand, despite protests from the English players, and Argentina went on to win the match. Overall, the FIFA corruption case has had far-reaching and long-lasting effects on world football. While some positive changes have been implemented as a result of the scandal, the damage done to the reputation of FIFA and football as a whole cannot be underestimated. FIFA has shown that it is not a responsible business, as it ignored its responsibility to society and destroyed the trust it had with its stakeholders. Responsible business refers to the practice of integrating social and environmental considerations into business operations and decision-making processes. It is important because it helps businesses operate sustainably, meet the needs of stakeholders, build trust, and contribute to society's well-being while ensuring long-term profitability. The FIFA corruption case undermined the integrity of the sport and the trust of fans who expect fair play and ethical behavior from the governing body of football. The same goes for sponsors who invest millions of dollars into FIFA events and expect transparency and ethical behavior in return. The corruption allegations against FIFA damaged the reputation of the organization and put sponsorships at risk. The corruption case also affected regular FIFA employees, as the resignation of the high-ranking officials imposed strict new rules and regulations, which in turn affected the job security and working conditions for the employees. Overall, the FIFA corruption case had a significant impact on a range of stakeholders and highlighted the need for greater transparency, accountability, and ethical behavior within the sports industry. Yet what were the consequences for the officials who committed these acts of corruption? In May 2015, several high-ranking officials of FIFA were arrested by Swiss authorities in Zurich, Switzerland. The arrests were made at the request of the United States Department of Justice, which had indicted the officials on charges of corruption, fraud, and money laundering. A total of 14 individuals were indicted, including 9 FIFA officials and 5 sports marketing executives. Some of the most high-profile FIFA officials who were arrested include Jeffrey Webb, former president of CONCACAF, Confederation of North, Central American, and Caribbean Association Football, and FIFA Vice President Eugenio Figueiredo, former president of CONMEBOL, South American Football Confederation, and FIFA Vice President Eduardo Lee, former president of the Costa Rican Football Federation and member of the FIFA Executive Committee, Julio Rocha, former president of the Nicaraguan Football Federation and member of the FIFA Development Committee. Several other officials were also arrested and charged, including Rafael Esquivel, José María Marín, and Nicolas Leoz, among others. The FIFA 2022 World Cup in Qatar occurred from the 21st of November to the 18th of December and was a triumph for both FIFA and the country of Qatar, although the reasoning behind the selection of Qatar for the FIFA 2022 World Cup was unethical and unfair. The country was commended for a remarkably successful tournament. The stadiums, transport, and hospitality sector infrastructure were ready on time, and the event has been hailed a resounding success by fans and players alike. The final between France and Argentina garnered a massive 1.5 billion viewers worldwide, which is why it is considered one of, if not, the best FIFA World Cup. To conclude, the FIFA corruption case was a scandal that involved several high-ranking officials of FIFA, the world governing body for football. The case began in 2015 when Swiss authorities arrested several FIFA officials on charges of racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering. This led to Sepp Blatter resigning as president and going on to show the irresponsible and unethical sides of FIFA. This scandal also affected a range of stakeholders and tainted the name of the organization.
Some solutions to help minimize or discourage the act of bribery and corruption within FIFA. Through global voting, through the FIFA app, fans from FIFA's 6 confederations could vote on which country or region should the next World Cup be held. To avoid biased votings, fans should not be allowed to vote for their confederation or region. Fans should register their accounts with the national identification number to help identify which confederation they are from. An equal amount of voters from each confederation should make for equal and fair voting with a first-come, first-served vote, while the voting should be held randomly during the year. Monthly security checks for the voters within FIFA's hierarchy. Officials and heads of FIFA that get to vote should be checked monthly by third-party firms to avoid foul play or corruption. This should minimize bribery or corruption, with voters being pressured by being checked, whether it be financially or by affiliations. AI voting, while it does not eliminate biased votings, make an AI vote should minimize a biased voting process. To further minimize the bias of all 6 FIFA's confederations would need to collaborate on developing AI. AI would calculate all possible positives and negatives that each country willing to host the World Cup has to offer. Each country that is willing to host the World Cup should list and explain why their country should be hosting the next event, not only explaining what they have to offer, but also mentioning how they will prepare and construct the event by clarifying its budget, infrastructure, and safety for fans and workers. The collected information would be given to the AI to make a decision. Anonymous votings, holding an anonymous vote, should minimize the bribery, attempts, and corruption, as potential hosting nations wouldn't know who is getting to vote. The vote would be held randomly, and individuals would also be randomly chosen within the FIFA hierarchy. To further minimize corruption, FIFA or a third-party ethical committee would see all the voters and determine which voters are qualified to vote. And these qualified voters established an AI could randomize and select a handful of qualified voters to be eligible to vote.